Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Good morning, students. This is your teacher, Hakim Sakran speaking. How are you this morning? Today is a very easy lesson, and I hope that you will enjoy it, and I hope that your young minds as hungry and eager as ever. Today, we'll be continuing our last lesson, You've Got Mail. Of course, yesterday we spoke about emails and the modern ways of communication. So today we'll be continuing our same lesson, but we'll take another approach of grammar. So today's grammar is about we have four points. The first one is preposition and gerund. The second one, we'll be learning about the words although, even though, in spite of. The third point is as soon as, when. These are time related. And the last one is so and that. So let's begin with the first one, which is the preposition plus gerund. Before we begin, just a reminder for you students, what are they? Do you remember the preposition and gerund? I know that you took it before because I know that you're good students. Just in case that you forgot them, let me remind them of what they are. The first one is the preposition. The prepositions, I'll give you just an example of these words. You have for, to, at, against, for, with, of, etc. Of course, there are many, many words of preposition. I just gave you these words for example. The next one is the gerund. The gerund is very easy, which is the verb which ends with an ing. Like we have here walking, writing, running, swimming, studying. So this is the gerund. So let's begin with our lesson. The preposition plus gerund. As it says here, prepositions can be followed by nouns, pronouns, or gerunds. The first one, the first example, I apologized to Allison. So Allison is a noun. Of course, here we have the gerund. The second one, I apologized to her. So her is the pronoun as it's written here. And this is the preposition. And the gerund here is the next example is I apologized for forgetting. So forgetting here is a gerund. I apologized for forgetting her graduation day. You can say to your friend, I apologized for forgetting your birthday. I apologized for, or I apologize if it's a present. I apologize for not giving you your money when you lend some friends some money. So you have many examples for this one. So I think it's pretty easy. The next one is, we're continuing. Some verbs are usually followed by certain prepositions. We have some verbs in the English language that are stick with certain prepositions. It means that you can't put whatever you want. You have to stick with one prepositions for them. The first one is I apologize for. The first one is I apologize for. You say, you can't say I apologize to, I apologize from. No, the verb apologize has to come before for. I look forward, I look forward to. I look forward to. I'm thinking of. You say you don't say I'm thinking for, I'm thinking with. You say I'm thinking of moving to a new house. I'm thinking of buying a new car. And so I'm dreaming of, I decided against. If you decided against something, you have to say, let's say you don't agree with some idea. You say, I decided against this idea. I decided against wearing a uniform. I insist on, succeed in, asked about. So we have here some verbs that usually followed by certain prepositions. So we'll move to our next part of the lesson. Some adjectives are followed by certain prepositions. Now we're moving from verbs to adjectives. Some adjectives are followed by a certain fixed preposition. We have two examples here. You can say, I'm tired of. When you're tired of something that now you hate it, you say, I'm tired of waiting. I'm tired of listening to this clip. I'm tired of watching this movie. So you say, I'm tired of. The next one is I'm used to. I'm used to having coffee at breakfast. When you say I'm used to, it means that something that you do every day, that you are now used to it, that you can't not do it. You say I'm used to having coffee at breakfast. I'm used to waking up early. I'm used to studying in the afternoon, and so. Moving on to our next part of the today's lesson, the words although, even though, in spite of. The words although, even though, in spite of, you have to know that they have similar meaning, which means, as it says here, they have the similar meaning. There's no difference between them. There's no difference at all. They all have similar meanings. So why do they study them? Although and even though introduces a clause that has a subject and a verb. So when you have a subject and a verb, you have to use although and even though. When you have a subject and a verb. But if you have a noun or a gerund, you have to put in spite of. Again, although and even though introduce a clause that has a subject and a verb. In spite of is followed by a noun or a gerund. So we have here some examples for you. Although it rained, we enjoyed the vacation. So we have here a subject and a verb. Although it rained, we enjoyed the vacation. The second example, in spite of the traffic, I arrived on time. In spite of the traffic, I arrived on time. The next one is, even though I was tired, I couldn't sleep. Even though I was tired, I couldn't sleep. The last one is, he went to school in spite of being sick. So what do these words mean? They mean that even though you can't do them, but you did it. For another example, you say, even though I'm sick, I went to my friend's party. Even though I'm sick, I studied for today's exam. It means that you're doing it while you are sick. So you're doing it not forcefully, no, but you have to do it for your own sake. Next, we have as soon as and when. Of course, these are time related, but you have to notice one thing. These conjunctions of time, as I said, they are time related. These conjunctions of time are not followed by future forms, because they tell us about the future, but the form of the verbs that we use is not the future form. Again, these conjunctions of time are not followed by future forms of verbs, even though the verbs tell us about the future. So what do we use? We use the present. We use the present form instead. Again, as soon as and when, even though they talk about the future, they tell us about the future, we don't use the future forms of the verbs. We use instead the present form of the verbs. Here we have an example for as soon as and when. I'll tell you as soon as I know. I'll tell you as soon as I know. Let me explain this sentence. I'll tell you as soon as I know. Which means I have an information that as soon as the information gets to me, I will tell you. Of course, now I'm talking about the future. The information is still not with me. But once the information is with me, I will tell you immediately. So this is, I'm talking here about the future. I'll tell you as soon as I know. So this is here talking about the future. It's almost the same, I'll call you when I arrive. When you say, I'll call you when I arrive, which means maybe now I'm in my car and you're talking to me in the WhatsApp chat. You say you have an emergency, you need me to call you. I say, when I arrive, I will call you. I didn't arrive yet. So we're talking here about the future still. I tell you, when I arrive, I will call you. When I get home, and I arrive at home, I will call you. So here, both words are talking about the future, but notice this. The verbs here, I know and I arrive, which forms are they? Yes, they are the present form. They are not the future form. As I told you, we use the present form of the verb with as soon as and when, even though, again, they are talking about the future. The next part of today's lesson is so and that. Let's read here what it says. We use so with an adjective or with many, much, few, or little. Why? Why do we use so? To express result or degree. We use so to express a result or a degree. Again, what do we use it with? With adjectives or many, much, little, few. The quantitative words, many, much, little, few. So let's read it again. We use so. Here, this is it. We use so with an adjective or with many, much, few, or little to express result or degree. Let's see some examples here. And don't forget that. The noise, it was so loud. The noise was so loud. You have a loud noise, maybe your neighbors, maybe your son, maybe your brother. The noise was so loud. What did I do? That we could hardly hear ourselves talk. The noise was so loud, we couldn't hear ourselves talk. So the result here, what's the result of the noise being so loud? The result is we could not or hardly hear ourselves talk. So this is the result. The result of some noise being so loud, even though we are sitting next to each other, we speak to each other, we can't hear ourselves. Another example, there were so many cars that we couldn't find a place to park, which means you sometimes in the weekend you go to the mall. And you know the mall, and in the weekends, it's pretty crowded. So you're searching for a car park for your car. You say, there were so many cars. There were so many cars that you couldn't find any parking place. So what's the result of there being so many cars? The result begins with that we couldn't find a place to park. The mall was so crowded that I'm searching for a parking place. I couldn't find a place to park my car at all. I hope you enjoyed our lesson today, and hopefully to see you tomorrow, inshallah. Thank you very much.